Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us for the panel discussion on the next frontier of value chains, integrating AI advantage in building resilient and smarter ecosystems from negotiation to prediction. I am Amit Singh, Director with E&Y, and today we are joined by leaders from FMCG, automotive, infrastructure, manufacturing, and digital transformation. These leaders are helping shape the shift from negotiation-led procurement to intelligence-led value creation. We have with us Mr. Sachin Apte, Chief Procurement Officer, Welspun, Mr. Sanjeev Jain from Honda Motorcycle and Scooter India, Mr. Animesh Gupta from Varun Beverages, Mr. Manoj Bharaskar from Rams Digital, and Mr. Venugopal B from CRIF. Thank you, gentlemen. So as we start this session, historically, we have seen that procurement success was measured through negotiated outcomes, cost savings, and supplier management. But today, the geopolitical disruption, climate risk, and rapid advances in AI are changing that equation. The next frontier for procurement is not simply negotiating better, it is predicting better. The organizations that can anticipate disruptions, identify risk early, and make faster decisions will create resilient and competitive value chains. I was just before this session speaking with my colleagues here, and we got to know how they are tracking the disruptions that are happening across the world, how their supply chains are getting aligned to everything on an almost real-time basis. If something happens in Russia today, their supply chain is able to trigger an alert today in India, and they are able to realign or assess their options in terms of procurement. So that is the reach that AI is giving us today. To start the session, I will request all the panel members to share one key priority area that they see in the procurement transformation in their respective sectors. I'll start with Mr. Sachin, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Regarding AI implementation, we start with the pipe and steel integration. Like, for example, if you see the Iran-Israel war, we get a lot of differences. Like, for example, Baroj is the one single worldwide company. It is in Abu Dhabi. They hit with the missiles. The entire pipe production has been stopped. But we have long-term relationship with long-term adjustment with the contract with them. We are the only company who worked during the Iran conflict, and we covered our raw material via Oman. Because Oman, they allowed, because I was the GCC country head, and Oman was country where they are allowed us to send emergency services. So we have created that category in the Sohar port and get the material from Baruch to Abu Dhabi to our Mundra port. Because of this way, we serve the purpose. Then secondly, I can tell now because of Hormuz, lot of our pipes has been, we cannot, the entire 80% pipe manufactured by Welspun is used in Europe and America. Next 3 years, our orders are already booked. So now what happened? The people have faced a lot of problem during Hormuz. So now the government and their GCC country are preparing the pipeline which starts from Hormuz inside the sea to Qatar and different. So most of the order we have got it. So people will not depend on now the other countries. So that is the strategic arrangement we have prepared.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sanjeev, your views?
Mr. Singh, thank you very much for asking this, giving this opportunity to talk about what the perspective should be changed, considering that today's difficult situation. Although you have already explained during your opening remark. So today, the requirement is we have to be more predictive. The complexity, the way it is increasing in terms of geopolitical tension, in terms of weather condition, in terms of cross-border conflicts, I think the more predictive we are, the more will be secured, we can secure our supply chain. As we understand, there is in past, what we can say after COVID scenario, the things has been changed very fast. the market evolve, the technology evolve, the perception of the customer being changed very fast, the affordability has been increased. So considering that, there is a paradigm shift in the technology. So if we talk about the automobile particularly, the lot of technology being introduced, either it being a two-wheeler, four-wheeler, or across the automobile supply chain, there's a lot of innovation happened. And as we understand the automobile, considering it's a very complex supply chain, being so many material being handled, so many technology being handled across the supply chain. There are big, what we can say, the supply network starting from tier 1 to tier 5, 6, 7, we don't know up to where the things have been gone. So you have to have understanding of your supply chain more deeply as what we used to have in the past. So basically, in my opinion, you understand your supply chain, you work with more collaboratively with your supplier, with your supply chain, and you have to be more predictive in terms of understanding what problem can happen and how to mitigate that risk. This is the basic change what has happened and the perspective which has been changed as compared to the past.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Mr. Animesh Gupta.
Yeah, thank you, Amit, for the question. So, my take would be slightly different on this. So, AI is, we work on a personal life or in the office also. It's ever changing. Everything is growing. So, something you start learning today, maybe after 2 months, there's a revision on it. Something's becoming obsolete. Something's having a legal issues. The thing is, just to give a perspective, so like we are one of the largest bottlers for Pepsi, and last year we did around 1,200 million cases. One case is around 24 bottles, and one bottle is 250 ml. So you can start doing the maths, what complexity of the supply chain is there in our business. So having said that, so managing this kind of complexity in today's world where every morning somebody will be saying a different tone in the world and all the geopolitical things change. It's difficult by human nature. So AI has to be involved in not only in our business like all the panel says, in all the businesses. My only take is that AI depends on humans. So it's an old term, garbage in, garbage out. So what we or the industry or the companies have to work or start working immediately is on changing from the man to a process. There are still industries which I go, some organizations which I visit, still totally man dependent. So that thing has to move slightly towards the process and then the data collection. So data has to be correct, it has to be clarified, segregated, and then only your AI systems in the future will work fast. So we need to start right now for that.
Thank you, Mr. Animesh. Mr. Manoj, can you throw some more light on how, digitization is playing a bigger role in procurement right now?
Yes, thank you for the question. So our expertise is mostly on built environment and operational intelligence inside your factory premises or the warehouses. So when we go ahead and prepare those digital twins, track what's actually happening on site, on ground, that's the data that could be used in more efficient way for future procurement cycles. So for example, in a warehouse there are MHEs that we procure. So what's your fleet size, how efficiently the fleet size is being utilized, how the maintenance is being done, and which type of MHEs are demanding more maintenance, which are more efficient, or any other equipments that you utilize. Those kind of data we capture, we can show the analytics, and then based on that the future procurement cycles can happen, which could be more intelligent. There are a lot of operational things that happen which usually those problems that don't come to the procurement team. Then that's where this intelligent systems could help. That's what our expertise is.
Thank you, Mr. Manoj. So, Mr. Venugopal, your expertise is in data and analytics. How do you see data and analytics changing the way we function, and what is the impact in terms of size it is playing in modern organizations?
Thanks, Amit. I represent a company which is into data. We are a company basically called CRIF. So we work with a lot of data, help clients understand the data and how that data can be consumed in a much better way. How data is shifting negotiations today in the procurement side or in supply chain is from a price only conversation. People have started moving to fact-based discussions on how we can cover risk, compliance, and understand the supplier much deeper. Today with data, the data helps the clients to understand supplier intelligence being the key between a good supplier or rather a supplier that is weak or a strong supplier. And between this, he's able to take a decision by adding a layer of ESG and compliance, which further brings the negotiation power much deeper from a decision making, which is more a conversation that goes far deeper with the supplier rather than just basically supplier giving a basic impact study and then understanding how we could negotiate with that supplier much deeper when ESG data and your compliance data are not becoming too compliant for the organization to work it. So it's moving towards a stage where your suppliers, you are able to negotiate, have a leverage with your supplier when the core data that you are actually going far beyond financials or ESG, and then you are able to negotiate with them to understand if this supply chain can be more resilient. That's what we have moved towards.
Thank you. So from the initial introduction, so my question is to Mr. Sanjeev. What I could understand from you is that procurement, which was earlier looked at as a cost function or as a technical function, is changing into a strategic growth lever. So from your point of view, how are supplier relationships evolving from transactional arrangements to strategic partnerships?
Thank you for the question. Actually, this is what I just explained. Definitely the kind of complex situation we are going through, of course, in terms of technology or whatever disruption is happening. So you have to have an approach which includes a lot of strategies and a lot of analysis. When I say analysis, it means data, as rightly explained by my colleague. Data gathering is first thing which you need to understand deeply, and second thing, how to analyze that data, and the thing is, take the immediate decision. These are the important facts when you talk about the today's latest procurement, what we can say, complexity. Of course, earlier we used to have very simple way of doing the work. It's only start with RFQ, then release PO, and then make some annual contract, and then finish. Today, you need a value chain which is more resilient, more sustainable, and what we can say more innovative. So, with the evolving of technology, you have to complete change the what we can say viewpoint for seeing the complete supply chain. Earlier, we used to have very less communication with the suppliers. Maybe talk in quarterly or half yearly or yearly. Today, based on your data analysis, you need to talk very frequently. You have to have a collaboration. For example, in automobile, when we develop any model, we start almost 18 months before or 2 years before the planning for any new model. You see? So considering that requirements, today's complexity, you have to have a involvement of your supplier from the development stage. So you have to make a long-term strategy. How you are going to have your supply chain after 2 years. So this kind of predictive understanding of your supply chain, deeper insight of your supply chain is required.
Right. Thank you, sir. So I have one follow-up question on that. See, do you see that in today's world, the competition is also evolving in that way, and if you are not able to use procurement as a strategic lever, somebody else will, and they are using, and it has become a, I would say, a fighting war in that sense that whosoever's procurement and supply chain are better, they are able to compete better, they are able to offer better products and services, and they are able to lead. What is your comment on that? In terms of competition, yeah.
No, you rightly said. You see, for example, today, if you see broadly, China is frankly speaking pulling everyone. Either it is Europe, it is America, Japan, India, everybody. The only winning point is they are able to understand, they are able to forecast future well in advance as compared to us. Correctly? So what is happening, definitely there is a competition and it is required to predict those changes in advance. So everybody is preparing themselves, Latest, if you see in recent past, there is a magnet issue. There was an Xperia issue, and after the COVID, we also faced semiconductor issue. The only thing was the difference between company to company was who was able to predict before the other one, who was able to, have that kind of what we can say PR or information about your friendly shore countries or your, what we can say nearby countries. So with that information only, you will be able to decide your fate of your supply chain risk. So preparing themselves, considering all this disruption is required. So that is the reason nowadays we are talking about AI, because for any human being, handling that much data, that also accurately, it's very difficult. Understanding that complete supply chain. So with the help of AI, we can be more smarter to collect the data, to analyze the data, and take a right decision. This is what is going to happen. But the only thing is, you have to prepare your manpower accordingly. The manpower should be not a normal chaser, which used to happen, in previous years when we started our career. Today you have to be a strategist, you have to be analyst. You will be able to take quick decision based on the feedback of your team. So prepare your team based on that condition is important. So whoever will prepare first, he will be the winner.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. So we have been joined by Mr. Rahul Poddar, Head of Procurement, South Asia, Nestle. So sir, we are right now discussing whether procurement is a strategic lever or not. So my question to you is, Nestle has a very vast supply chain network, and your procurements are from different parts of the country, from different countries itself. So how do you see procurement function as a strategic lever, or do you see that there are still ways or means for procurement function to expand, to have a more bigger impact on how the business is done?
Thank you, and my apologies for getting slightly late. So very nice question and very good question, and I think it's very pertinent and relevant in today's market scenario. And I'll just take 30 seconds to build. Post all the money printing which happened in COVID and which unleashed a massive inflation and deterioration in consumer real disposable income across the developed and developing world, and also led to a lot of commodity headwinds. Right? So when you put these two things together, that your consumer has lesser money to spend and you have to buy costly, basically the squeeze is coming on the margins of every major global organization.
Right.
So, whether you look at global results of any CPG company, other than one or two which we had reformed themselves earlier, all of them are under pressure and are trying to reform their cost.
True.
Now, in this scenario, where all automation and, because supply chain or planning automation has been there for quite some time. Companies have invested a lot there already. Now the next lever left for many organizations is only procurement.
True.
And that is where a lot of limelight and attention is coming to this function as a function which is responsible, is increasingly becoming responsible for profitability.
Right.
Given all the geopolitical shocks, no amount of planning will do anything. It will be your vendor relationship, it will be your sourcing flexibility, it will be your logistical understanding of how you can maneuver, and hence now procurement is playing a major role in ensuring supply as well.
True.
Right?
True.
So just a plan does not make the truck come. You have to connect. And thirdly, two pillars for any major company always stand, that it is procurement is also responsible that despite all this cost pressure and volatility, you still have to maintain quality and make a compliant product. So if I was to say these four pillars are some major deliverables of procurement, and of course sustainability, but it has taken a back foot now in the current economic scenario. Nestle has definitely is a very mature organization and has taken a big strides in this. Our parent, we have a subsidiary within Nestle called Nestrade, which handles and aggregates and manages procurement globally for all Nestle markets and factories.
Right.
Right? And our leadership is completely dedicated and committed to deliver this. Now, how we do it? Of course, by having centers of competence, enabling our manpower with modern AI capabilities, right? And focusing a lot upon your supplier relationship management. So that's the thing.
Right, Mr. Rao. So you mentioned about not compromising on quality. So that is something that is common to, I would say, all the sectors, and more so for beverages also. So I'll come to you, Mr. Animesh. We talked about how we can see early warning signals in supply chains. So in terms of beverages, what are those early warning systems that we see, and what is the time lag that you personally see you face in receiving those early warning signals?
Right. Thank you, Amit. So the answer these days is very simple. You just wake up in the morning, go to your news channel, and see what one global leader said overnight. So that will shape your warning signals or the short-term strategy or what's going to happen in the world. So, this was on a lighter note. So, on a serious note, I mean, there's so many things which are happening. So, being a FMCG and dependent on multiple, you can say, uncontrollable factors. So, geopolitical, obviously, in this scenario after post-COVID, I mean, it's the biggest thing. Any war, whether it's Ukraine or Russia or in the Middle East, any situation, geopolitical upheaval, that impacts our business also, whether we are there in India or outside. And this would be the primary warning indicator. And then you can look at many macro level indicators. For us, even something like a small thing like a weather forecast, what's the weather going to be like? Which has, like if it's going to rain heavily, whether it's going to be a rain deficit, whether the summers are going too long, because the more the heat, the more the summers, the more the consumption will increase. And so the pressure on the supply chain. So all these indicators are there, and then definitely there are subtle indicators. So the war may be, or the blockage may be there in the Middle East, but then there are certain factors which we all know. The cost will increase, the raw material availability will be problematic. But then there are subtle, very small, minor, subtle inferences which you need to take from these factors. Maybe China pulls in the containers. You won't have containers to ship, which is happening even these days. So you have material, but you don't have containers. The organizations may not be, or the freight forwarders may not be picking LCL. We export, so that becomes a problem. And all these subtle factors are not there on the surface. You need to dig deep into data and then come across it. Then obviously, I would say the AI or the system generated things are the general things like every organization does, the OTFs or the stock levels or the stock aging and the raw material trends which are happening. It's a common thing which happens across all the industries. So that's what we are doing right now.
Thank you, sir. Sticking to the topic of quality, I would request Mr. Manoj. See, most of the procurement firms are traditionally have been looking at L1 suppliers. With AI, how do you think that intervention of AI has changed this L1 game, and what is the impact that AI is creating on this procurement in terms of least cost based selections?
Yes. So again, I'll give an example of a built environment space. So now traditional procurement that happens, it's the L1 thing that they go ahead with. But recently we had seen a case wherein a large retail player and like retail and e-commerce player, they had procured a mezzanine. Mezzanine floors are these days used for storage of a lot of things. So obviously these things are based on L1, and there are a lot of technical things that go inside it. So almost a 4 or 5 lakh square feet of facility where this mezzanine is there. Now these mezzanine floors are traditionally done in certain cold form steel, which is obviously very economic, but our Indian standards are used for design of this kind of cold forms, which are for envelope design, so the building design. Now here human traffic is happening, so now a lot of humans travel to pick and place the material, and here's where the discomfort comes, because those compliances that the Indian standard has, those are not for those human travels, and that's where the discomfort, the safety thing triggered, and they had to go ahead with major strengthening of that facility. So it's not only the cost, but the supply chain disruption that happened due to this event. Now, how AI might help is the procurement team is not supposed to go and check what engineering design that vendor is doing, but AI might help what it is supplying and what we are expecting, how that asset is going to be utilized. Right. So if AI gives that intelligence and warns the procurement team well before, if they are going ahead with something which might be of greater disruption in long term. So that's where AI with specific engineering capabilities can help decide the L1 or which vendor to go ahead with. So there are not only one, there are like few other instances which we have seen over past year, almost 8 to 10 of them, wherein some or other structural defects in racking were there and supply chain has been disrupted. There were like close to 7 events where the racks came down, and when racks come down, it's not the single rack that comes down, it's the domino effect that it creates. And so entire warehouse, though from outside you will see the warehouse is intact, but inside it's all collapsed. So you like human loss, reputation loss, and obviously the inventory and supply chain disruption that takes place.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Manoj. My next question is to Mr. Sachin. Mr. Sachin, Welspun is a large group. Can you share an example where the predictive insights helped you avoid a major disruption or cost escalation?
Yeah, it's a good question. Welspun is one of the largest conglomerate manufacturing the major pipe industry for oil and natural gas plus water waste. So during this transit, so we are aware ki what are the impacted areas. For example, suppose Russia. So most of our pipes also go to Russia. So their temperatures are minus 76 degrees. So we develop certain criteria in India where we test every parameters so that our product is not fail there. This is. Secondly, what happened, we have done the continuously innovation. Like For example, we are doing with LPG, this lot of pipe oiler, but now next generation, you can carry the hydrocarbon. We are the only company who certified by the major industry in Europe who carry the hydrocarbon through our pipe. So we are continuously updating our skills, innovation, R&D. We spend a lot of things on R&D. So before people thought, we implement the entire solution. So that is the thing. So we predict entire thing in advance. So there is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So as we are advancing in the software world, what I have noticed personally is that some time back we were using all the digital application as tools which were there to help us do something better. But with AI, what we are able to see is that it is not only a tool, it is also a partner.
Yes.
In that sense. So it is, I would say, in a sense, a co-pilot with us, who is able to take decisions, at least at some level, by themselves. So in that context, my question to Mr. Rahul is, because we are using AI as a co-pilot, so what governance mechanisms are necessary before delegating critical decisions to AI systems? Do you see that governance mechanisms are necessary, and what are they?
Thank you, and a very interesting question. And very recently I was attending a conference where I kind of presented on this topic. See, these days AI has become a buzzword, right? Of course, it's a very powerful tool, but the problem with every powerful tool is that if you don't harness it with the right governance and with the right design and plan, that same power can become destructive, right? Like till date, the Nobel Prizes are there because Mr. Nobel invented dynamite, and when he realized the destructive power of dynamite, he felt guilty and he said, at least I'll promote something which good for the world. So similarly, AI can be a double-edged sword if unleashed mindlessly, without a proper architecture and without governance. Secondly, as you rightly said, while we all are calling it as a co-pilot, but often organizations are racing in the direction of making it as either an autopilot, right?
True.
And every board's mouth is dripping that if I can bring this autopilot, what kind of structural cost reduction I can bring in,
True.
right? So this is where I think the greed will get ahead of you. And when it comes to governance, specifically to address that question, even today with semi-automated or automated tools, did you allow the tools only to take decision? You still have a release strategy, you still have a human monitoring.
Right.
And similarly in AI, that needs to be there.
True.
Thus, ultimate strategic call has to be there. AI can help you simulate faster. AI can help you process data faster. It will expedite analytics and processes. But if those analytics and processes are inefficient, it is only expediting your inefficiency, not efficiency.
Right.
That's why I would just end with this thing. We need to have an autonomous living architecture which learns, which senses, learns, does, then heals itself, relearns from the mistakes, and then again deploy and keep going in the cycle. And this will be a partnership between human intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Right.
Yeah, I will give one example. Recently, last week,
Sure.
I was in Ahmedabad. So because of AI, the DG Yatra. Now, if you go there, immediately scan the face and allowed the body pass. There are twins are there. So as soon as one twin go, AI stop. You cannot board the flight. The person is already identified.
We all have
to
we
go
all
to the
have faced
manual
that
interviews.
situation, yeah.
I have seen the physical in front of me. So
Right.
you cannot detect.
So when we talk about AI we have to talk about data. We have to talk about how all of that data is getting captured and how it is getting processed and what kind of tools we are using. So my next question is to Mr. Venugopal. How is data changing supplier negotiations and collaboration models?
Yeah. Today, compared to the past, the way we used to look at supply chain, look at supplier negotiations, that leverage is getting built in today because of having some amount of data prior to this negotiation that you're going to have with your supplier. If you are able to inbuild data when it comes to understanding your supplier's financial health, your compliance of the supplier, and an ESG layer also into it, then you start having better negotiation power with the supplier, and the decision, it becomes more collaborative with the supplier, making him understand that it's just not product, it goes far beyond that. We have to, your procurement team as well as the business also starts understanding it is just not, the importance of the supplier goes far beyond the L1 quote. It is also important to understand that if I have a very good supply chain, then my weakest link is also not going to affect my business. So negotiating with the supplier empowers you when you have data, and that data comes from proper intelligence on the supply chain. That's why I said a financial layer, understanding the financial stability of the supplier. A compliance layer to understand if the supplier is really compliant from all angles from the government. And the third, an environmental, social governance layer, which also brings at that aspect when you have that discussion with him. I'll give you a simple example of one of India's largest listed companies who use my services. They have started going far beyond just financial or supplier due diligence or intelligence. They have a very large supplier. They have a very large supply chain based out of China. One of the supplier, let's take, he gets into a cyber risk attack. It's something that from a procurement angle you actually don't see, because it has nothing to do with me when it comes to cyber. But when you look from a global supply chain perspective, just imagine if that's a key supplier and if he's getting into a cyber attack, he's going to be down for next 8 working days. Your whole global supply chain goes for a toss. How do you, so having predictive data at your end gives a business far better negotiation power and leverage with your supplier, and you are able to actually spend time with the supplier, make him understand that there is changes that needs to be done. Basis that you could either spend time with the supplier or build a new set of supply chain. So it could be in a different direction that could go.
Thank you. When we are talking about suppliers, one of the important things is that we need to build, predict and prepare models. So my next question on that topic is to you, Mr. Sanjeev. How important are supplier diversification and alternate sourcing strategies in your firm?
Definitely, of course. This is one of the most important rather in today's situation, that you have to have a risk mitigation scheme within your procurement structure. But yes, it all depends. You have to have a balance. Like it's not possible for each component, each model, particularly in automobile, that you can build a multi-sourcing system, or you can diversify completely. Because mostly in automobile, many things driven by the technology. Not necessary that you may be able to find out the similar kind of supplier or alternate supplier for similar kind of technology. Because every company, most of the companies who has technology, they build their own platform which used. Because today if you see, the automobile is not driven by the OEM, it is driven by the suppliers. Because they have the know-how.
Right.
You see, and that know-how is inbuilt for making a vehicle. Correct. So we normally test the technology, not involve the technology. The technology always involved by the supplier. So considering this complex situation, definitely multi-sourcing is a big task for automobile. So what in our company we used to have, as I explained earlier also, we used to involve the supplier from the development stage.
Right.
If we have to develop, we make our strategy for the larger volume, of course. We have a trigger quantity, like up to where we can go with a single supplier and then go for the multi-suppliers.
Right.
So there we start that journey from the development stage. There we involve the supplier and then based on the model lineup, we develop them. This is one thing. This, if you're talking about, for example, semiconductor, earlier we used to have only single source for each of the semiconductor. But today the situation is completely changed.
True.
Even today we are working with 2 semiconductor companies for multiplying or multi-sourcing those kind of component for risk mitigation. Diversification definitely is important considering this technology, considering the risk, cross-border risk. So definitely, as is a what we can say talk of the town, China plus one strategy.
Right.
So China is mostly dominating most of the technology which used in automobile, be it a EV or whatever. Considering their advancement in technology and their speed.
Right.
So based on these things, but we have a conflict. Not only we, everybody have conflict. Fortunately or unfortunately with China. So considering that, everybody is working for what we can say friendly shoring countries
Right.
or near shoring countries,
Right.
where we can have less kind of risk in terms of any cross-border conflict.
True.
Third thing is weather condition. So earlier we used, the kind of infrastructure or the kind of technology we used to have, we never bothered. If anywhere earthquakes are coming or anywhere, floods are coming, normally we don't bother. We even not bother, even we are not knowing how it is affecting our supply chain. So today if the flood is coming in Russia or the flood is coming in Australia, so it start troubling us from where the coal is come and where the palladium is going to come.
Yes.
If Taiwan any shaking is happening, we also shake here. We started shaking now, what is going to happen to my semiconductor?
Right.
So this is the situation now. So based on that, of course, as you rightly said, again the important is how you understand deeply your supply chain.
True.
And based on that understanding, based on that knowledge, you can plan your strategy for diversification in terms of technology, in terms of cross-border conflict, in terms of geopolitical issues, or in terms of weather condition. So this is how we are preparing ourselves, not only us, the complete automobile industry, and of course, the most important thing in this particularly diversification, you have to have self-reliance, which we are working very concretely in that direction. And of course, there is a lot of support from government now. So many investments are coming where earlier we don't have that kind of access. Now so many technologies are coming, being it a magnet, semiconductor, or many PLI schemes are going in the country. And we are talking to everyone and to create a supply chain which is self-reliant,
Right.
which is more resilient.
Right.
So this is how we are working.
Thank you, sir. So I see that we have run out of the time. My last question, and this is very, very important for me, is to you, Mr. Rahul. What advice would you give young procurement professionals entering in the AI era in new organizations? What is your advice to young professionals?
My advice to young professionals and even to the old professionals will be that, see, buying to me is 4 wheels. One is understanding your spend context. Second, definitely is negotiations.
Right.
Third is problem solving.
Yes.
And fourth is stakeholder management. So any procurement professional, car will drive on these 4 tires.
True.
AI is the software upgrade of this car.
Yes.
So make it your power, make it your strength. It is something like Excel and Word, and when email came, it changed the way we work. It made us more efficient. AI is here to do the same. Yes, certain repetitive manual tasks will get replaced by AI. But it is something which will you know, like there's a difference between Superman and Batman. So
Right.
Batman comes with a lot of gadgets, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, he's a normal human being. So it's the latest gadget in that
Yes,
kit.
yes.
So make it your friend, adopt it, learn it, learn how to use it, and this is valid for all professionals and specifically for young, that don't get fascinated that AI will do your job. If you cannot negotiate, if you cannot manage your stakeholder, if you cannot do problem solving, AI cannot do all this.
True.
Maybe
true,
AI will just help you understand the context faster.
Right, right. Thank you so much, sir. So with that, we come to the conclusion of this panel discussion. The three key messages that at least I can take from this is that procurement has become a strategic growth lever for all the firms. The future belongs to predictive organizations. And third is that AI is becoming a co-pilot and in some sense, literally a pilot for us. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you to the audience for listening us so patiently. Thank you.